Hello everybody. So today I'm going to do my van tour. So I'm going to be explaining how I have built this van, what I have done and what I actually outsourced, and yes, my dream, Swedish lodge style van conversion. So I look forward to showing you how this came about. So what I'll do is I'll firstly talk about the bed. So the bed, actually this is a full size double bed. So it's at the back of the van and I can actually sleep widthways, across the van. And I'm 6'1" and sleep very comfortably across the width of the van. This is why I recommend a Peugeot Boxer for anyone who's a little bit taller. I can also stand up my full height in this van, which is extremely important for me when I'm doing my long distance traveling. So this actual bed, this is what you call scorver beams. I've used to create this bed. So these are the silver beams that you just use. I've used three. So there's one at the corner that goes across, then there's one in the middle, and then there's one at this side here. And we used a riv knot tool to actually bolt it and secure it into the van itself. And then all we actually put on top is the Leroy bed slat. And then literally the mattress goes on top of the Leroy bed slat. It is that simple. The simplest way to build a bed in a camper van is with these scorver beams. So as you can see, this van is identical almost all over. So throughout this van we've used wood from berries. So this is tongue and groove cladding, and all it is we've actually cut it to shape, obviously to fit the van. Some parts were much harder than others, but for example the roof here, you can see that this is just one piece that goes all the way down to the cab, and then the rest of the van is the extension bit where we had to cut separate parts. But all it is, or the tongue and groove cladding, it slots right in together, so it creates a really nice finish. And we've used it throughout all of the van. I say we because I did this build with my neighbour. He has helped me throughout the entire process. And the only difficult parts, well, especially the difficult parts, were this bit here. So because the van had a weird, I should have actually filmed it when I did it, but it was a weird metal structure behind this bit, this section here. This is why this is sticking out, and this bit is actually not level to that. But actually, I actually quite like this now. I very much like it because it gives me more room for my feet in the bed. Because if you think about it, if this was fully all straight, I would lose a lot of room at that back of the van. So I'm actually glad. I think it actually looks quite good. It gives it a bit of an impression that it separates the bedroom from the actual kitchen area and the living area, which I actually really like. So this actually is hand built. This is completely a hand built unit as well. It is not perfect. I admit that it's not perfect, but for our first time building something like this, it is an extremely good build, I think, because we've never done anything like this before. So this is just cupboards off his old cupboard, my neighbour's old cupboard, and then we've got the cladding, tongue and groove cladding again behind it to separate the back. And we've used separate pieces of wood. This bit's a separate piece. They're all separate pieces, but these are just the doors from his old cupboard. And then I know it's a bit of a mess here. I need to tidy it up a little bit in here, but yeah, it works really well. And we've just used, L-shaped brackets along this side. We've put some more support on top. Then we've supported it with some more cladding on top. And the same for this side here. Another separate one, a bit smaller. But this is, it's all solid. And we just put magnets so it doesn't bang and wobble around whilst I'm driving. These windows are actually outsourced. So I got there's a guy called Tom at TW Campers, if you're in the area, Preston. He fitted these windows for me. So we've got one. This is a slider. This is an opener, this one. So I didn't feel like I needed two openers actually, and it saved me a lot of money to get one fixed because it was half the price for this fixed window here. So look at the amount of light and view that you can get through. These are good size windows. And then for a bit of extra light at the back and a view from the bed, I've got these universal windows, which actually are also quite a good size. So that's an opener, and this one is a fixed one at the other side. So I really feel like I needed these 4 windows in the van. I like a lot of light and I like my views. So we pretty much did the entire build ourselves, but we got the windows outsourced, the air fan outsourced, and the electrics. So the electrics, again, I wasn't feel comfortable wiring because it was a big electrical system. It's not got an inverter or anything, but I didn't feel comfortable doing the wiring, and I felt like I needed a professional to because I need it to work. I need it to last. I don't want to I needed to spend the extra money on the electrical system being outsourced. So it's a Renogy system. I'll show you in the back in a second. But yeah, everything else we did ourselves, and yeah, I'm really happy with the way it's come out. It's been a long process. About 6 months it's taken us to do this build. Working most days, I'd say, not all day, because I've been working again every day myself with my job. So yeah, it's come along really well. So the unit for my cooker and my fridge, this again is all hand built, and this actually I feel like we've done a really good job with this because we measured it perfectly. So to get enough room to come in and out of the van, but also so I can have like a bit of an office area here, so I can cover the sink up and work whilst having a good view. And then I've got so much room, probably too much room actually, for my cooking space. So I've got like a good chopping area here. I've got my 2 stoves, my whistling kettle on top, and I've got plenty of room for my washing up. And only a simple sink. I've just got a simple, cheapest sink I could get hold of. I got this tap is really good. It's a swivel tap, so you can wash your feet when you've got some sand when you're at the beach. So this is a really good, I think we've done a good job on this one, because this is just one solid piece of wood, and then the rest of it is, as you can see through here, it's actually properly, we could do with 2 more cupboards being built in here, but it's a bit dark actually to see. But we've literally took our time and used separate pieces of wood to make it nice and solid with the brackets, and bolted it to the floor itself, bolted it to the top. And it took us about a day, I'd say, to do this entire unit, maybe 2 days if I remember. And then Tom at TW Campers, he put this to the side and wired my plug socket in, my charger for my phone and my computer charger into the unit. And then we've fitted the Just Campers fridge freezer, which is again, I recommend this one, Just Campers, perfectly fit into the unit. And then finally built these little cupboards from the leftover cladding. It's all about making the most of what you have, even though it's not going to look perfect like it's a 50,000, 60,000 pound already built camper van. It is authentic, and I like it a lot more than the already built out ones that are so robotic and modern. With the floor, or like what's left of it, because like the bed and everything else is covering up most of the floor, this is a vinyl. So it's a vinyl from Carpetright. But how we actually did this, we obviously stripped down the original van floor, cleaned everything up, and thankfully there was no rust on the actual floor itself. So because there was no rust on the floor itself, we could get straight onto cleaning the metal, and then putting I put the insulation down. So it was like a black rubber insulation. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a black rubber insulation. I laid the whole floor with this, and then went around the outsides to seal off any gaps with the aluminium tape, with the insulation tape. So once we had that black insulation down on the floor, then I put the original van floor back on top because it was in good condition, and then I got the vinyl, and then we rolled it out and made sure that it was airtight. There was no air bubbles sticking up. Even though there's still 1 or 2, it's difficult to get it absolutely perfect with the vinyl. But I'm glad I chose the vinyl rather than a wood, or get a new wood, because the wood was in good condition. All it needed was the vinyl on top. Plus, it's not that important, the floor, really, in terms of looks, because it gets covered up mostly anyway. I've only got this row really to get to the bed, which it still looks good, but it could do the clean actually looking at it now. But yeah, it's I'm glad I did the vinyl, and I'm glad I chose this vinyl. The look of it matches with the rest of the wood, and it was quite simple to do. It did take a lot of time, but yeah, I'd advise anyone to, if they got the van floor in good condition, to stick with the van floor. If it's not in good condition, it's not worth it. Get a new wooden floor, and make sure that there's no rust before you put in the floor on top. You need to protect it from the rust. You don't want that affecting it in the future, because once you've done the whole build, you don't want to be ripping everything down. That's the last thing you want to be doing. And that was another thing that I made sure I did really well, is the insulation tape. So everywhere around this van, any sort of gap underneath the main insulation, and then once the insulation's on top, I used the insulation tape to go around any sort of edge. So underneath this wood, there's 2 lots of insulation, and so there's a silver reflective insulation and then the sheep's wool. So I used 2. So the first is more of a vapor barrier. It's classed as a vapor barrier. It could be. I've heard bits and bobs about this vapor barrier being important, and some say it's useless. So I just used it as insulation. I've not really thought about a vapor barrier. So I just used the reflective insulation, and then it has like a foam at the other side. So I've stuck that on all the way up everywhere in the van, even the floor, the ceiling, everywhere, and then over the top, ceiling, walls, sheep's wool. Now that is cost me a lot of money. But the sheep's wool, it's a natural material. I like to be using natural materials if I can. So the sheep's wool is there, keeping the van warm on top of the reflective insulation. So that took me a lot of time to do, a lot out of the budget. But to be honest, I didn't actually have a budget afterwards, because I just got what I needed to do done. Because I saved a lot of money on the original van cost itself. $3,250 for this Peugeot Boxer. So it gave me a lot of more room for manoeuvre with the actual build. I would definitely recommend the Max Air Fan for anyone getting a camper van, because it's been very, very good for extracting any sort of oils and smells from the van when you're cooking. As you can see, it's actually quite a lot of oil is actually stuck. I need to clean this in the air fan itself, but it's got 10 settings. So I'll show you actually how it works. So we've got, you press it on. This is on the extractor setting. It lifts up, and then it's got 10 settings, so 10 speeds that you can adjust with this button here. Plus the remote control, you can also alter the setting of the air fan with, and then you can press this button here and it flips around for the blower. So now it's blowing air into the van. So that is a very, very important thing in the van for me. I've got my Native American style curtains shutting off the cab, separating it from the rest of the van, which is so nice when you just sat in bed at night and you can just imagine you are in your own lodge. It really doesn't feel like you are sat inside a van, which I absolutely love. And I've just made it more homely by adding these sacred geometry cushions. I've got my photos of Merlin, and then I've got a vision that I've had in my head that I kind of needed to find on a picture. And then all around the van, I've still got things I probably want to add to the van, like a mirror and things like that, but I've got my green man on this side. I've got my van life picture that my sister's drawn for me. I've had this for like 5 years or 4 years now. What I like about the spotlights on the roof is that they are touchscreen, so you don't need an on and off switch. So instead you press the light itself, it can go blue, it can go white, or if you press it down, it can go a dimmer shade of white, which I absolutely feel is vital for me, because at night I don't like to have much light on, so I can pick and choose how much light is coming off these lights. So it's a bit of a windy day today, so I'll try and speak a little bit louder. So this is the outside of the van. It's a Peugeot Boxer 2014 L4, so it's the extra long wheelbase. So this is the closed bonded window, and then that's the opener universal, and on the other side it's the other way around, so it's the closed universal and the opener is the larger one. On this side we've got the electric hookup point, so this is to change it to 240 volts at a campsite. I'll see if I can open it here. So this is the 240 hookup point, and then we've got the opening window on this side of the van with the YouTube logo, Age of Albion. Please subscribe to this channel if you're new. On the bottom of the van, we've got the water fill-up point, and plus we've got the water tank. I think it's pronounced underslung tank, and I think it's, how many litres is this? I'm not quite sure how many litres that tank is, but it's I think it's one of the larger ones you can get. So it's probably lasting 3 to 4 days at the moment. So this is the Renogy lithium ion system that Tom at TW Campers has put in for me. So this is attached to the solar on the roof, so you can charge with the alternator. You charge it simply by driving, but also when there's enough sun. There isn't today because it's cloudy, but when there's enough sun, it's enough to charge the battery to full power, 100%, and that's been enough to charge me, to leave me off grid for many days when I was travelling around Cornwall. So this is the Renogy system without the inverter. I didn't feel like I needed the inverter. I don't really have the appliances to run off the inverter, so this was enough for me. On the roof of the van we've got the 200-watt solar panel, but during the really hot days it can apparently bounce the sun back off the roof of the van and make 240 watts. So yeah, just one solar panel is enough to power all the lighting, the fridge which takes the majority of the electric, and yeah, that's the main things. And charging the phone also, that's all I've been needing the electric for. Thank you very much for watching the van build. I'm at home at the moment preparing for my Europe trip to come, so keep an eye out on the Age of Albion YouTube for my future trips, as I'll be making so many videos, important videos to come. And yeah, so the Age of Albion is only just getting started, and looking forward to what all of this travelling is going to bring. The spontaneity, the freedom is all an embodiment within first, and the van always is the external manifestation of this. So for anyone wanting to do van life and you don't know where to start and you haven't even bought a van yet, this is exactly the situation that I was in. The years leading up to this, I've really been focusing on becoming the van life spirit. So it's the feeling the freedom within first, because life is a mirror. If you feel the freedom within, the freedom outside comes after. But if you get the external first, you will never feel free. And if you lose the external, then that is the true loss. Right? If you've got the feeling of freedom within, you can never lose anything, because that is who you are. So the external world is a manifestation of what you feel within. So cultivate that feeling inside first, and your dreams will manifest on the outside world. But go for it. Take steps at a time. If this is what you want to do, this is truly what you want to do, not just because other people are doing it, then please go for it. You're doing a soul a disservice if you don't. Go for your dreams.